Hello guys, this is Justin and welcome to Nova. And I would like to welcome you to episode 5 of the Nova series. Now, as we worked our way through our episodes, we spoke about Nova in a whole, and then we talked about them individually: navigation, overcome, and the first V of my double V's, visualize. Today, I would like to speak to you about value. Now, initially, I was going to talk to you about visualize and value in the same video, but I kind of felt like they were both equally important. Now, the most important thing you can do is put a value on yourself. So I'm going to talk to you about personal valuation. Now, when talking about value, you want to take into consideration 3 things: your emotional value, your monetary value, and your time value. Now, we're going to start with your emotional value. Now, your emotional value, this takes into consideration the way you feel, the toll that it takes on you mentally when you're helping friends and family, when you're doing work, when you're even taking a little bit of you time when dealing with your everyday life. Now, a lot of us like to think of ourselves as emotional and compassionate people. Now, when you look at yourself in that light, you want to take into consideration the emotional toll that it takes on you every time somebody comes to you with a situation, a problem, if they're seeking advice from you. Now, a lot of us, we actually go to other people whenever we have something going on in our lives and we just need to vent or talk about it. And I know that, to be perfectly honest, because sometimes I forget, we don't really take into consideration the toll that when we go and we talk and we unburden ourselves to the person that's kind enough and caring enough to take on our burdens. So when you're taking into consideration your emotional toll, you really want to take a minute and just kind of think to yourself, okay, I have issues and situations that I have to deal with also. So you want to diversify your emotional value. And when I say that, basically what I mean is you do not want to give any more than 30 to 40% of your emotional value to other people. You have to have enough emotional value for yourself to help you through whatever it is that you're going to go through in life. Your monetary value and your time value, these two, they fit together, kind of like Lego pieces. It is really difficult to speak on your monetary value without taking into consideration your time value, because obviously these two are just tightly tied together. Now, when you take into consideration your monetary and your time value, you want to be realistic. Obviously, every minute of every day of your life is important. It holds value. So you don't want to undercut your value, but at the same time, you don't want to overestimate your value. So when you talk about your monetary and your time value, you want to make sure that your value is set at the same level, slightly higher than your skill level. Now, you obviously can go out and ask for whatever you want in compensation whenever you're looking for a job or a position anywhere, or somebody asks you for help. You can turn around and be like, hey, you know what? Yep, it's going to cost me $100 to take you on a 5-minute ride. I mean, you can do that. So obviously you can name your price, any price you want, but you want to make sure that that price that you name is realistic. Now, most places that you go to, they're going to have pretty much a flat fee that they're willing to pay you. Now, at this point in time, this is where knowing your value comes into play. You can pull out of your toolbox of experience and place it all on the table and say, hey, look, I have a great wealth of knowledge, and I believe that I can bring more value to your organization or your company. You can negotiate a better wage for your services. Now, the important thing to take into consideration is, let's say you're a truck driver. You're fresh out of CDL school and you have no over-the-road experience, let alone any experience other than the experience you gained from learning to drive a truck in the first place. So the truth of the matter is, even though you believe that your value is worth so much more at this particular point in time, because your experience toolbox when it comes to this particular field is fairly empty, you want to show that you will give them in good faith some of your valuable time in exchange for what they're offering to pay, with the option of being like, hey, later, I think that I'll be worth a little bit more based on how I perform and how I do over the next few years in service with you. But I digress. I don't want to go too deep into the economics of things. I just kind of want to help explain why it's important that you do whatever you possibly can to better yourself, so that when you go into situations, you can actually say, hey, look, I have this knowledge in my life toolbox, and I believe that I will be of value to your service. So I believe that my time is worth this amount of money. So when you set your personal valuation, you want to take into consideration your emotional value, your monetary value, and your time value. Now, here's one of those simple truths, and this isn't going to be in a separate video. I'm just going to say it here because it's relevant. Not everybody's going to think that you're worth what you think you're worth. That doesn't mean that your worth is any less than what it is. That just means that people just can't see your value. Now, it's not necessarily important that everybody values you the same way that you value or your friends and family value. It's not necessary. The most important thing to realize is there are people out there willing to validate your value. But before they can validate it, you have to believe in yourself and that you are actually worth that valuation. Like I've said many times before, nobody is going to see you the way you see you. Not until you see you for who you want to be, then others will see and even start to appreciate everything that you offer and what you have to bring to the table. Guys, it's important that you realize that only you can put that value on yourself. But you also want to keep in mind that you don't want to overvalue yourself while being careful not to undervalue yourself. As always, I want to thank you for watching. And remember, don't just shine, go Nova.